Also, I was told just before I came up that I have a hole in my jeans. So I apologise to everyone at the front.
You have an accent and it's wonderful.
It's fake.
It's all fake. I'm actually from Wisconsin.
Fantastic.
So I'm not your typical demographic for romance fiction, it could safely be said. And I think I got into romance fiction in the same way that most men do. I wanted to sleep with someone who really liked romance fiction. And I read that first book, hidden in the dust jacket of Killing Things Weekly. And I was surprised. I was surprised because the themes in the book were, dueling twins, mistaken identity, meddlesome aunts, and true love conquering all. These are the themes of the great Shakespeare romantic comedies. And so my entire perception about this whole genre turned on its head immediately. And in that regard, please accept my small first attempt at writing for the genre. And I may take the occasional step from my Stella whilst I'm reading this, because it was certainly here when I was writing it. Oh, and this piece is currently untitled, so we have some very creative people here. If they have any ideas for the end, that would be great. Lord Johnny St. John, the FBI's principal English expatriate undercover cowboy race car driver, looked at himself in the mirror and almost didn't recognize himself. His blonde hair was now a raven black that had transformed his eyes into two piercing exclamations of blue. He hadn't wanted to change, but his boss, Special Agent Gerald Fitzpatrick, had insisted. "Blondes don't sell," he had grunted. "And this time, Johnny, you gotta sell like hell." Johnny adjusted the Velcro on his NASCAR jumpsuit and placed his Stetson on his head. He looked good and he knew it. He'd come far from the young English boy who'd washed up on the Nantucket shore after his father's yacht had been torn apart by a raging gale, leaving Johnny alone and his family and his fortune at the bottom of the ocean. Taken in by a family of itinerant winemakers, with nothing but a ragged life jacket and the signet ring bearing his family crest, a bull rampant. Johnny had been put to work, slowly saving up for the expensive dental work that was required for his transition from an English subject to American citizen. 10 years later, the line of his jaw had become more defined, his skin a little darker, and the boyish fat that had sustained him in the ocean had been replaced by lean, hard-won muscle. He had been the point man in any number of FBI busts. Doing so had meant fighting hand-to-hand with Mexican circus dwarfs and enduring the bruises of herding a pack of wild Mormons. But he had never been asked by his government to seduce anyone before. And this was not just anyone. You could never call Alyssa Languish just anyone. Blonde, beautiful, and brusque. The young Australian had parlayed an outrageous gossip column in an outback regional dog lovers magazine into an aggressive publishing empire that was voraciously taking over the US market. She was everything your average shipwrecked English undercover FBI cowboy race car driver could want in a girl. But right now, what she mostly was late. Lord St. John strayed across to the sofa and stroked the creamy white leather of that chair. The touch reminded him of the first night they had spent together. The first night that the young Australian had demanded that he go down under. She was a firecracker, all right. No shrimps were going to get to go on this real-life Bali. The first night had not been perfect. After all, Lord Johnny came from England, where the word foreplay solely refers to a doubles tennis match. As she had arched her back on the snow-white sheets, he had taken off his hat and in time-honoured St. John fashion shouted, "Brace yourself, lassie, I'm coming in!" This had not gone down well. The same could not be said of Johnny later that evening, however. That too. Finally, Lord Johnny heard a soft sound as the muffled double knocker on his door swung into the heavy wood. She was here. A final check in the mirror, and he eased open the door to find Agent Jones there. "She's missing, boss," he stammered nervously. "There was just this letter and the smell of burnt tires." Johnny stared at the letter. It was written in florid, cursive French. This was it? Just this French leather, Agent? And the rubber, Johnny. Don't forget that. You're telling me she's out there without protection? Johnny grabbed his coat and slammed the door, not caring what happened to the muff or the knockers, and headed out into the night. I still would have preferred the sex.